Welcome to Crones and Coffee with Lori and Kate, a podcast about spirituality, real, raw, and authentic, and lots of laughs. Good morning and welcome to our third episode?
Yes, lucky number 3.
Crones and Coffee with Lori and Kate from Mystic Market and
Prayers of Nature.
We're located in Milford and Wilton, New Hampshire. Stop by and check out our shops if you're in the area. We'd love to meet you. So how's it going?
Good. So far, so good. It's when this airs, we're not that far off. It's going to be spring very soon.
Thank
so I'm
goodness.
very excited about that.
Because it is so windy out there today. I thought I was going to get blown away.
It's scary. It's like the Wizard of Oz out there. I swear to God, I saw Dorothy floating around.
Right. And yesterday was 67?
It's happening. The weird New England spring weather.
Yeah. Which brings me into what we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
Elemental magic. What is the significance of it? Earth, air, fire, and water.
Well, I mean, it makes up everything around us, which is probably why we focus on it so much.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, I used to be outside all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm a Gen Xer, so, we weren't allowed in the house. I was outside all the time.
Same.
Hugging trees and laying in the dirt and the ground. And, I slept good back then. Maybe I need to be outside more.
Well, what's funny is I think when I started dipping my toe into the magical realm, you start with basics usually. And it was fun as a kid to realize that it was as simple as finding representation in nature for the 4 elements or 5, depending on who you talk to, right?
Right.
There's maybe you could dip more into that after, but like there, some people like to encompass spirit with that, and some people don't. So it's really your preference. But being a kid and being like, oh, I just need to find representation for the elements to get this ritual started or to get connected. Okay, I can do that. So you can make it as simple or as elaborate as you want.
Exactly. I know here in the studio, if you've been to my meditation classes, you see I have a small altar set up, although it is growing in size.
That happens.
It does incorporate all of the 4 elements on the altar, and I actually invite people to come up and look at it and to explore it and touch it and connect with it in some way. And a lot of people are actually really interested in it. So it's cool to see, just like people that aren't doing the things that I do on a daily basis come in here and show interest and they want to learn about it, and it's not scary. And but let's talk about so many, as you mentioned before, many modern pagan belief systems place a strong emphasis on the 4 elements, such as earth, air, fire, and water. A few Wiccan traditions contain a 5th element, as you said, spirit or higher self. However, this is not a universal, belief. Some traditions, particularly those with Wiccan roots, equate the 4 elements and directions with watchtowers. And depending on who you're talking to, these are referred to as guardians or elementals. And we call upon them to protect us during ritual or when you're casting a sacred circle. What's a sacred circle? So casting a sacred circle in witchcraft involves creating a space that is separate from the mundane world, where practitioners can connect with higher powers and perform spell work safely. The circle acts as a boundary, a barrier between the sacred and the profound. It's a place of power where energies can be raised and focused for magical workings. So typically when you're casting the sacred circle, you start by purifying the space, whether that's through smoke cleansing or salt water. This helps clears out negative energy and can set the stage for sacred work. And then the practitioner would then call in the elements, earth, air, fire, and water, to lend their energies to the circle. These elemental forces help amplify your spells and intentions. Once the space is purified, the elements are invoked, and the practitioner can then create the actual circle using a wand or their arm. They can just put their arm straight out, their body. They probably walk clockwise around the perimeter, visualizing a glowing barrier to protect them. So, as I said, it serves as a sacred space. Throughout ritual, the witches may call upon deities or ancestors or spirit guides to lend support. These beings can help enhance the energy within the circle and assist in manifesting the practitioner's intentions. When the ritual is complete, the witch will typically close the circle, thanking all the entities involved and releasing any energies that were raised during that time. I feel like I'm talking the whole
No, I enjoy
time.
it. I enjoy it. I think it's necessary for people to know what you're referring to.
Right.
Gives it context,
Right. So then let's break down each element, I guess, at this point. So as I said, we have earth, air, fire, and water. These 4 elements hold immense power to some people that practice. And each element carries its unique, significant energy. So Earth is the one I really connect with, and I'm an Earth sign, and I always connected with Earth even before I knew that I was an Earth sign.
So can I pause you there for a second? How do you know what sign you are? Like, I kind of know, but I want you to explain to our audience. Like, so there's not only the elements, right? But we're also connected to the elements through our signs.
So,
but it's not necessarily. Is it based on the zodiac, or is it?
So that is not my area of expertise. So I actually had someone tell me.
There is a whole nother realm there though, right?
It is,
because I think I'm an air sign,
yeah.
But I can't remember how I know that.
And I had someone read it to me, and it was so long ago, but I think it had something to do with my birth chart.
Yes, I think you're right.
Because I also got I forgot what it's called now, a life number.
Yep.
So that's a whole topic.
Secret decoder ring of our spirituality.
Exactly. And it's really it's so much. And if that's not the thing that you focus on, you can really get lost.
I guess it depends on what speaks to people. Right.
You should find someone that's.
Well, I knew that it wasn't the zodiac, but I knew, like you were saying, it had to do with your birth. The time of your birth.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was asked what city and state I was born in, what time, which
sounds like a birth chart. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately, my mother passed, and I can't find my birth certificate, so I have no idea what time. So she just put in a general,
the next best thing.
Yeah. I think she actually left it blank at the time, but yeah, but I remember that whole thing, and she gave me this chart. I should try and find it. But I've moved so many times, since I had that session done. I have no idea where it is, but
so you're drawn to the earth symbol, and you are an earth sign. So it's like double whammy for you.
Right. Right.
So do you have certain materials that you look for when you're searching for things? So my favorite thing to do when I go for walks with Aaron, we go on long nature walks, sometimes we're in Cape Cod, depending on where we are. And that's when I get inspired to find these items.
Yeah.
Things like this,
absolutely.
Especially if I'm on the beach and I'm like, ooh, air, water element, I'm going up and down the beach, getting the stones. I actually brought jars of sand home. Obviously I ask permission, I do all that.
Yeah, of course.
And that I just have certain elements that I've gathered that I just keep on my shelf, just from my random walks.
Yep.
So I guess everybody's inspired, at random moments to gather those items.
Absolutely. Well, my husband and I are hikers, so we're up in the mountains a lot. And since I started really focusing more on my practice and my mindfulness practice, I actually notice things. And most people don't. And I'll give you an example. Somebody came in here the other day and she's like, "You were so hard to find. I couldn't find you." And I'm like thinking, how did you not see?
You're not hard to find.
But how did you not see the 8 foot by 12
She's never
foot
tried to
sign?
She's never tried to find my place.
And but this is what I'm saying about people not being present, or paying attention to their surroundings, which again is a whole nother topic. But she said that sign is not 8 by 12 feet, and she gestures me to come outside to look, and she points to the one that's next to the door.
Oh.
I point to the one that's in the street that is 8 by 12. Trust me, I know how big it is. I had to order it.
Right.
And she goes, "Oh my God, I didn't even see that."
But,
but this is what I mean about bringing in your surroundings and paying attention, because we're so busy in our own heads thinking about our to-do list and, what's for dinner, and I got to pick the kids up, and I got to bring, little Timmy to karate, and I got to pick up Susie from, Girl Scouts or whatever, that we're not paying attention to what is right there in our face, right? So when we go on hikes, I'm actually noticing things that I never would have noticed before. And I actually took a picture of it because it was so cool. And I don't know what kind of tree it was, but it was in the fall, and the leaf had fallen on a rock that was covered in moss. And the leaf kind of had like spikes. It was like a spiky looking leaf. It wasn't spiky, but that's the only way, jagged, And it was a beautiful color orange. And there was, in the center of the leaf where the stem goes, it was a perfectly cut out heart.
Ooh.
I don't know how that happened.
That's cool.
But it was perfect.
Yeah.
And it was sitting on the rock. So it was this bright yellowish orange leaf, and the moss was poking through the heart. It was the coolest thing I ever seen. I didn't take the leaf home. I left it there, but I did take a picture of it.
Did you take a picture?
I did take a picture of it, and I did post it. If I'll find it, I'll post it on Mystic Market's Facebook page and Instagram. But those are the things now, like, I challenge our listeners to pay attention to what's around you.
Be here now.
See what you don't normally see. And it's a pretty amazing feeling when you're like, whoa, if I wasn't paying attention, I totally would have missed that leaf. And to me, that was the coolest find of the day, so Earth, excuse me, is, it represents stability, grounding. It's associated with growth and abundance. And it is the foundation on which all magic is built. Because when you go into ritual, you don't want to be like this crazy pants, right? You want to be grounded and focused, right? So I always start off with a grounding and centering. And again, this can be a different topic, but grounding and centering are two different things. So I always start with grounding because I want to be focused. I want to be present. When I am doing whatever I'm doing, I don't want to be thinking about laundry or dishes or my to-do list. Again, it's in the present moment.
Do you have
that foundation?
Earth element helps you with that.
Absolutely.
What do you use?
Absolutely. So I have on my altar that I have here, I have things that represent Earth. So I have a lot of crystals. I have salt. I have bones. So all of those things that represent Earth. Solidness, if you will.
Do you ever get so, like, I get so literal sometimes I'll have like a bowl of dirt?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it's another fun thing too, if you're doing ritual outside and you are invoking the earth and you got bare feet right on the grass, that's like the best, I think. And visual, like you're talking about grounding techniques. I think my favorite is the root systems.
Absolutely.
I've been focusing on my own root system
Yep.
For 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I'll go down into visualize different layers of the earth and different,
Absolutely.
right. So it's getting how deep you go to the core of the earth and you shove your roots in there and just breathe with the planet.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite grounding techniques.
The heartbeat beneath your feet.
And and I've learned over years of doing this now. I've now lived long enough, or I've practiced long enough, meditation at least, where I feel like that root system I've built from 10 years ago has continued to grow and go deeper and unfurl deeper and go further.
Yeah.
Like I will physically visualize it under the ground in surrounding towns.
Yeah. And
I've been doing that for years. So it's just when I'm feeling like I need to be grounded, I instantly can tap into my taproot. And it takes years of practice probably for people to actually believe that they could benefit from it.
And don't you feel like you're renewed, like you have this untapped energy that all of a sudden you have it? Like
I think if anything, I feel an overwhelming sense of security and safety and well-being. I don't necessarily I feel safe. Yeah. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be no matter where I am doing it.
Yeah.
I will intentionally do that in places that I'm inspired by. When I went to Nashville, I found the area I was staying in, no offense, Nashville, but it was really gross.
Yeah.
And they didn't care about the environment down there, at least in the area that I was in. So I was sitting out in the park, probably one of the crustiest parks I've ever been in. It was pretty grody, but I was like, I still have this ability to ground myself and put those root systems under the ground and go past the garbage.
Yeah.
So it created, and then when I went back to Nashville, I was like, oh, I've been here before. This feels familiar to me because I've already done this.
Right.
So, I've visualized New Hampshire, I visualized New England, and the root system I created there while I'm visualizing this new system that I'm doing down there. And it sounds silly. It sounds, very basic, but it's very helpful to me when I was away from home to still feel like underneath it all,
connected.
I'm still connected.
Yeah.
Past all the debris and litter and
well, and I know probably people that don't or haven't tried this type of practice, ritual, whatever you want to call it, I think people do look at you like, okay, you're a wackadoo, but it's like if you have an open mind and try it,
right,
you will be amazed how you feel.
Well, there's your reality that when your eyes are open, you're seeing, but when your mind may not know the difference sometimes.
Right.
That's what's so cool about meditation and visualizations, that you can trick your mind into participating in something. Oh yeah, there's a root system under us. Sure. Okay.
Right. Right. And there is.
Yeah. And they're going to send signals to your body to calm you down, to keep you present, so whether or not it's real, quote unquote, it feels very real to me, doesn't matter. It's doing it, but practicing it too, I think is very important. Letting people know that practicing it is half the work,
And I think I mentioned in one of our 2 episodes we've already done that I have been a long time anxiety, panic disorder sufferer. And I tried everything. I tried all the drugs doctors gave me,
designer drugs,
therapy, none of it worked. None of it worked. It would work for a little while,
right,
and then it wouldn't. This visualizing, meditative, ritual work that I do has been the only thing that has kept me in a semi-sane state of mind and being able to cope with things. I don't take any medications. I'm not seeing a therapist. I practice this and I do it daily.
I think people have a hard time believing that it helps.
And even 5 minutes. But so I'm going to drag my stepfather through this. Sorry, Andy. But I told him he's since my mother has passed, he's had a hard time dealing. I said, come to one of my meditation classes, and he's like, I'm not going to come in there and sit there for an hour and go, oh, and I'm like, no, that's not what we do.
You can, but
I said, no, just come in and try it. He wants no part of it because he thinks we're just going to sit here and say Om and
Yeah.
put our hands up.
Doesn't get it. Yeah.
And, I invited him to come privately because maybe he will feel silly around other people just so he can see what it's all about. I did convince him to do that.
Yes.
So he is going to do that. But I think, if you've never tried meditation, where to start would be with a guided meditation, because it does help you. When I first started meditating, I literally sat there and I was like, okay, this is dumb. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Because I had no idea.
Right.
So of course I went down the YouTube rabbit hole, found all kinds of meditations. I offer meditations here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Details are on the website. But I write scripts and I provide these visuals for people, and every single person has loved it that has tried it, even people that are new to meditation. And one of my meditations is, we're going to heal the world today. And one of them is creating your grounding. And you have this glowing light around you, and it's getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And it starts to dig through the earth. And then it goes out from there to heal the world. So I encourage people to try that, to grow their root system, encompassing the world and everybody in it.
Okay, so I got to go a little farther now.
Because
that's fine. I got plenty of room to wiggle.
Because imagine, though, if everyone took the time to do that, right? And I'm going to get off topic a little bit, but there are evil people out there. Yes. There are people that are evil, but there are also people that are making poor choices because they are suffering and they don't have a support system. So if we can even help someone, so say someone is really struggling and they're and someone named Tom, you're like, Tom, come to meditation class with me. Even if that helped Tom for that 1 hour,
right,
that has now planted a seed that he does have a support system. And the support system is within himself.
Yeah.
He just has to listen and connect with that. And having friends that are like-minded obviously is very helpful. Because, like attracts like. So if you're always miserable, guess what you're attracting in your life? Misery. Does that mean that you have to be happy and joyful all the time? No. We're human. We have emotions. We're not going to be happy and rainbows and unicorns all the time. We're going to have our dark days. But the difference is, with me now, I don't live in the dark days where I used to. I have my moment and I say, okay, that's enough now. I'm wasting way too much energy.
That's like when you asked me this morning, how you feeling? I'm like, spring's almost here.
Right.
That was my way of saying, I don't want to wallow in the misery. Spring is just around the corner. Yeah. I think we're all kind of experiencing the New England winter seasonal.
Yes.
Don't want to say the word.
Yes. And springtime is a time for renewal and rebirth. So we have to remember, even the earth is kind of yawning and stretching right now. Like, we're about done with this cold too. Yeah. We're ready to be reborn with beautiful life, right? All right, let's talk about air.
Yeah, we did earth.
Air symbolizes intellect, communication, aiding in mental clarity and creativity. So on my altar, I have feathers, which is an obvious.
Wind chimes are nice too.
And I have a bell.
Yeah.
So I have those. Air's
kind of tough because you can't see it.
Right.
You can't really, like, what other things could you,
So
obviously
you
things
would-
that fall from the
right.
trees.
So
and,
you could do pictures too. So you could actually have a picture of like a windy day,
and like a cloud.
or a cloud, or a bird, or gosh, what
That
else
one is tough.
What
I
else
wonder
represents
if our
air?
listeners would have any comments as to
Right.
if there's anything that you use for air.
But and sometimes you can use, so incense can be,
that's true.
Because the smoke,
Right.
right? But it could also be fire because it's
Mhm.
burning. So
Yeah.
that could be a twofer.
I like the air. I think I'm an air sign.
Yeah.
And I'm drawn to the creativity symbolism of it.
And what's awesome about air, and it goes for earth too. It goes for all of them actually. Air can be calm and peaceful,
Mhm.
or it can be a crap storm, right? It
Yep.
can be
Like it is right now outside.
right? Like, and I actually kind of like that windy, 'cause
Chaotic.
It feels powerful. Like
Mhm.
it feels like
It's gonna clear a path for you.
right, right.
It may leave a path of destruction, but it will also leave a clear path.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I feel like,
Mm.
because I've done that before. When I've felt yucky or whatever, and thankfully it was a windy day.
Right.
I go outside
Yes.
and I'm like, take it from me.
Yes,
And I just kind of
I've done
stand
that.
there with like open arms, like, just cleanse me.
And obviously, when you're at the ocean,
Yes.
ocean, that breeze that comes off the sea is. I find that whenever because not everybody has the luxury of going to the seacoast, right? We're obviously majority of us do because we live here, but I forget that there's like a whole population of people that never get to stand on the edge of the water, at the edge of the sea, and just let that sea air just breeze over them.
We are really lucky because in either direction, we can either get to the beach or the mountains.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome living here in this area. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to worry about hurricanes too much, or tornadoes, or...
Just wait, though. It's getting weird.
Yeah.
Getting real weird out there.
I shouldn't say that, because I think Massachusetts is getting more and more tornadoes, but we're in New Hampshire, so actually, we're still safe right now.
Well, I just read an article too, and I don't know how true half this stuff is, but saying that all those tornado alleys, the tornado alley in the Midwest is actually that is shifting, like that.
Oh boy.
Yeah, more north.
Yeah.
So it's just migrating closer.
Cool. I don't want it.
Well, what's interesting too, I talk about Cape Cod a lot. I go there a lot, and you talk about observing the changing of the land. That place is always something I learned about Cape Cod, is that it's eroding, and sand is moving constantly. So, like over the past 10 years now, I've seen beaches look completely different. It has to do with the wind gusts and the water levels, and
this is why you never buy a home on the beach.
Well, that's my in-laws have a home that used to be very far away from the bay, and now it's they got mile markers to point out over the course of the years how close the bay is going to be getting to their house.
Wow.
And they're old enough now where they're like, oh, we're not going to be around, so it's not going to be a problem.
So we don't care
anymore. They don't. They'll probably sell it, and it'll be worth a lot because it'll be right on the beachfront at that point, and then it will fall in the river, in the ocean.
No, thank you.
But the cool thing about it all, like, it sounds very upsetting, but it's also, as a nature person, as a witchy person, I go there and it always feels like this sense of renewal. There's always this sense of like, this wasn't here before, but now it is, and this isn't going to look the same. So you're kind of experiencing the same thing over and over again in a different way, which is due to the elemental air.
Thanks, elemental air.
There's other things going on underneath the ocean, I'm sure, that have to do with it, but honing in on the air part.
Yeah, and what I like to do too with air, again, you have to kind of watch the weather if you do these things. I did it in the fall when there were leaves. So I would write what I wanted to attract in my life. So like, peace, love, safety, money, all the things we want in our life, right? And I would write one word per leaf. And when the wind gusted, I would crumple that leaf and toss it into the air so that the elemental air was taking it into the universe. So I like to do that, especially if I'm having like a crazy anxiety day. I will also utilize that to let things go. So you can do it both ways. You can do it to attract or to let go. So I would write anxiety and I'd crumple it up and I'd say, elemental air, take this away from me. So that's something you can do. There is something similar that you can write on bay leaves.
Right.
We'll get to that with fire. But
yeah, that's where I was thinking. My mind was going.
Yeah,
a similar
but
concept.
You know, some of the people that I have taught, they're like, well, I live in an apartment complex.
Right.
I can't burn stuff.
Right.
And I can't burn stuff in here either.
Right.
So I usually actually turn to water, elemental water.
Yep.
Which that one is for emotions, intuition. It flows with healing and purification. So we had done which you were at, a Hecate ritual, which normally it would be done with fire. But since we can't burn inside the building because we'll set the fire alarms off, we did use elemental water to take it away. Which was a pretty cool night, I thought.
That was fun.
Yeah. I still have people talking about it, so I guess it was a
I got my keys hanging in my house. Every once in a while I throw it on my neck and bring it out. Another cool thing about water too that I like is that it can be a single drop or it can be a whole ocean.
Yeah.
You know, and the persistence and the consistency of water over time, like just dropping in one, like the endurance, the persistence, symbolism that I think a lot of people don't think. You know, people think about wet, immersion, flow, and I'm like, well, what about persistence and like finding your way through the cracks? Like you're gonna you're not stopped. It's not a dam. There's gonna be a way to seep through. You know, those elements of water that I think are really neat.
And what about the solid form of water?
Ooh. That's right. It can change, right?
Right.
It can fall from the sky. It
can
could be
morph.
an ice cube. It can be mist. It can be. It's actually a really cool thing.
I mean, water's really good for freezer spells.
Excuse me. Yes, we know that.
So and water, I find it very cleansing. Again, if I'm having a yucky day, I'll jump in the shower.
Right, yeah.
And I stand there for a few minutes, just letting the water wash over me, asking elemental water to wash the gross away energetically and physically.
I do something similar in my bathtub. I don't have a shower, but I have a big old bathtub, and I'll just simmer in it for a bit, and then I'll imagine it all going down the drain.
Yep, I've done that too. And also, if here's a tip if you're new, and you want to get rid of somebody yucky in your life, someone that's just energetically soul-sucking, write their name on a piece of toilet paper and flush it down the toilet. Thank you, elemental water.
I mean, yeah, you can take it a step further, but I'm not going to say what you could do with it. But
yes.
You might have a satisfying moment.
If you want to add some elements, you can certainly do that as well.
That is that's a modern witch.
That is a total modern
witch thing to do. It's like, I'm going to literally flush you down the toilet.
Yeah, you're a crappy person, so you deserve to have some crap thrown back at you.
I have a composting toilet, so they're going to be sitting in there for a while, getting piled on.
Well, there's a visual that I will not be using in my meditation classes.
Don't cross me. Don't cross me.
All right, and let's talk about fire. Fire embodies passion, transformation, igniting our desires and pushing us towards change. Can we go back to water?
Let's go back to water.
On my altar, symbols for water.
Yes, yes.
So I actually have a little necklace charm that's shaped like an anchor. I have a shell. I have a little vial of moon water.
Yeah.
And for each one of my elements, I actually have a tarot card or an oracle card that represents each one. And I have, oh gosh, I forgot the name of the crystal now. Anyways, it has a mermaid carved in it.
Oh.
So those are my representations for water. For fire, since we're talking about it, I have a lava rock. I have a candle.
Right.
And I have a picture of a phoenix. What else do I have for fire? I think that's it.
Yeah, fire is another tough one, isn't it?
I think that, I mean,
I feel like fire and air are probably.
I have a candle,
right.
You know, but
like we said, incense, matches,
yep.
charcoal, ash.
Yeah, trying to think what else. I mean, I guess I could just get up and go in the other room and look and see what I have on there, but that takes effort, and I don't want to. Because right now we're in the studio, sitting in the sound lounge.
Yes.
And it's pretty cozy in here, so I don't want to move.
Yeah, you may notice a difference in our sound from the last 2 episodes. We're working on it. We're working on improving the sound experience.
Yes, we even bought new microphones, so
they're very furry.
We'll see. We'll see when I'm editing this how it sounds afterwards. But
probably hear our heartbeats.
Right?
That'd be funny.
That'd be weird. Well, I ended up taking my rings off because I noticed
I did notice that.
I noticed I kept clinking them, so
clack,
you'll
clack.
probably hear my rings in the background. Sorry. So yeah, by harnessing the energy of each element, we can enhance our spell works, deepen our connection to the natural world. Whether that's through the use of herbs, candles, incense, crystals, people can tap into the power of these elements to help them manifest their intentions.
It's actually
at any
endless.
time.
It's endless. It's crazy how much symbolism you can find in the chakras and crystals and even the herbs, and like it really is limitless.
And I think too, when you work in harmony with the elements, it makes you more powerful. It makes your practice more potent, I think.
I think you got those elements inside you.
Absolutely. And I think, for me, a big part of practicing, and a lot of people, I think we did talk about this, there's people screaming on Facebook all the time, intention is all you need.
Right.
To me, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It might be true for some.
Yep.
But for me, that's a big part of it. But I have crazy brain, and I have a hard time being, which is why I practice all the time. And by being, I mean just to be in the moment. It's hard for my brain to stop because I'm always thinking about stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on in my brain. So when I bring these things into my practice, it's to help me stay focused. Because if you're not focused, intention doesn't mean crap. If you're not focused.
Right.
And I like to compare this to like when you're trying to lose weight. You can have all the intention in the world to lose weight. But if you don't do the things,
the follow through, right?
If you don't do the things, your intention means nothing.
Yeah.
So you have to do the work too. You can't just say, "I wish for, X, Y, and Z. I wish for a new job." Yeah. Well, if all you're doing is watching TikTok all day, guess what? That job is not going to just find you.
Right.
So you have to put the work in too, and I think that's where people get confused when you talk about witchcraft. Like you have your intention and you have your focus, but you also have to incorporate practice and the steps to get to where you want to be. As I said, if you're hoping and wishing for a new job, job's not going to find you. You still have to
engage,
put in job applications. But again, it's, like attracting like. If you're like, I'm never going to find a job, guess what?
Right.
You're never going to find a
Yeah.
job, and you're going to be miserable
Yep.
all the time. So you have to put that intention out there as if it's already happening. Like, I have my dream job. And then you're going to focus on, what does that dream job look like?
Mm-hmm.
What does it feel like?
Mm-hmm.
Picture yourself doing that dream job.
Dress for the job you want, not the one you have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that goes with anything in the practice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always wording it as if it's already happening.
It's big law of attraction.
Absolutely.
That's like a whole world of stuff. A law of attraction. That's like books and
that's a whole nother episode.
That's a big one. That was a big one. It can be frustrating for some people. I've had my moments where I'm like, you just have to let go. You know, sometimes there's like, it can get real toxic real quick, you know, like if you're not too careful. I think I end up getting real cynical, I'm like, oh, fine, fine. I throw my hands up in the air and I get frustrated.
Right.
But you end up having to come back and practicing gratitude and then resetting yourself for.
And I think that's being human. Like,
yes.
Like I said, you can't always be rainbows and unicorns.
Right.
Like, that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
Like, the whole positive vibes
Just
only
be
thing.
Gentle with yourself.
Yeah. And, practice forgiveness. Like,
sometimes baby steps too. Like
yeah.
looking at the smaller picture, not such a big picture,
But, and practice forgivingness. Like, it's okay that I feel yucky right now.
Mm-hmm. What
you don't want to do is live in the yucky all the time. Like,
right.
Be in your yucky, recognize it.
Our friend Victoria, she would always say something that I always like. She would say, you're just swimming in the sad sauce. That's what she would say. She's just swimming in the sad sauce. Okay.
That's awesome.
And I just thought that was a cute way to put it.
Yeah.
She was referring to someone in her life. She's like, I can't do anything. I'm just gonna let her swim in her sad sauce, and she'll find her way out.
Yeah. And it's okay to swim in the sauce every once in a while. You just don't want to live in the sauce.
You don't want to get too salty.
Because then you'll get, exactly. And you'll get pruny. Because you're too wet.
You'll get indigestible.
But, I actually talked about that the other day in one of my meditation sessions. It's okay to not be okay. And you don't want to, like this, the whole, we're kind of getting off topic a little bit, but whatever, that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
But the whole, I can't stand the whole positive vibes only people. Like, that's not realistic.
Right.
And sooner or later, the crap that you're suppressing is going to take you out.
Yes.
So my philosophy is that, this is yucky, and I'm going to wallow in it for a little while because I want to.
I got to observe myself.
I have to.
Yes, yeah.
I have to process it.
Right.
And that's the thing, I think. You have to process it, face it, heal from it, then push it aside.
Right.
Because if you don't do it, it's going to resurface.
Right.
And it's going to resurface at the dumbest time. Because so if you have a challenge in your life and you're just like, no, I got to be positive, and you don't
it's almost like avoiding, you're just avoiding it.
You're suppressing it, and it will rear its ugly head over something dumb. Like your husband put a glass in the dishwasher wrong.
Right.
All of a sudden it's this big giant issue.
Yes.
Because it's not really about the glass
right.
in the dishwasher wrong. It's right. about the crap you didn't want to deal with before
right.
is now surfacing. So eventually you will have to
you gotta get your elements. You gotta gather them up. You gotta get your little jar of dirt, your little feather, your little
exactly.
Get all the earth elements and surround yourself with that and go to town.
And so with speaking of earth, if someone wants to try this, what I love doing in the spring, because it's about renewal, new beginnings, rebirth, transformation, right? From the stagnant earth, from winter. Write your intentions, your new beginnings on a piece of paper, and bury it in the earth. You can use seed paper.
Yeah, I like that.
So then flowers grow.
Yeah.
So you'll see your intention growing.
I like that.
And it's a great visual. And, don't be upset if your flowers don't grow, because sometimes there's just bad seeds. Don't take that as an omen. Just be in the moment of you're planting your intentions. Like that's, you're bringing your intention into the physical, right? You're not just visualizing it, you're physically doing it. And that's what I like about this. And that's, for my practice, that's what I need, that's why when a lot of witches online say, oh, you don't need all the things, I do.
Right.
Because I need to bring my mental intention into the physical world. And so if I'm planting my intentions,
right,
and I know that they're growing and they're going to be awesome.
You did the work.
Because I did the quote unquote work, right?
Right.
So that, for me, that's so important, is to bring my mentalness into the realness.
Bring your mentalness, please.
Is that a word? Mentalness?
It is today.
It is today. It's a Loriism, which you'll probably hear lots of those in this podcast. But we made it through almost the whole thing without Lori being weird.
Oh man, we still got time.
All right. So, understanding and honoring the significance of earth, air, fire, and water allows us to align ourselves with the natural forces at play in the universe. By working in harmony with these elements, we can amplify our magical practices, creating more potent things to happen. I say embrace the elemental energies and watch yourself flourish and grow.
It's like your own garden.
Absolutely. And it's pretty powerful. Like next time you're out hiking in the woods, like really notice the stream, notice the birds, notice if it's actually silent.
Oh my God.
Which is a little eerie.
I do that all the time at my house. I live on 100 acres, but the thing that really grinds my gears, as Peter Griffin would say, are the airplanes. Because if it wasn't for the airplanes, there's very rare occasions now where I don't have private airplanes flying over my house. And on those occasions, I go outside and I just close my eyes and I try to listen to the farthest thing away from me. At first I hear the cars, which is pretty close, and then I'm like, oh, what else do I hear? And I start, you tap into things you never would have paid attention to before.
Yeah.
So it's fun to do. When Aaron and I went to America's Stonehenge over the weekend, and it was far enough out where I was like, ooh, there's no sound. There's a natural soundscape. Let's just be. So we just stood there I'm like, I have like sensory issues, right? I'm a musician, so I have a lot of my hearing over time has become more and more sensitive.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I want quiet when there's no sound.
Right.
And it was really, it is eerie, but it's a luxury nowadays.
Yeah.
It's an actual luxury to live in an area where you don't have sound pollution.
Right. Well, and when you hear the silence, I know that sounds weird, but when you hear the silence, you're like, whoa.
Oh, it's like when the snow falls, the first snowfall.
Yes.
When you go outside and like all that, it's like a natural sound barrier with all the snow fluff creating.
Have you ever done a deprivation tank?
I can't. I haven't. I get anxiety.
I know.
I haven't done it in a long time, but I do. I have a hard time being alone with myself.
Yeah.
I need to have some kind of.
There's a float tank.
Mm-hmm.
It was I do social media marketing for a living too, and he was one of my clients, and he was like, "Oh, you got to try it," and I couldn't. You float. If you don't know what a deprivation tank is, I don't think they call it that anymore because that kind of has a negative.
They have some fancy spa name now.
It's not called deprivation tank anymore, but anyways, it's water, and it has like 1,500 pounds of salt in it.
Right. So you float.
So you float.
And isn't it like room temperature or body temperature?
It's warm. Yes, it's warm.
Yeah.
So you're not cold. It's like you're floating in the womb.
Yeah.
And it's dark and it's soundproof. His actually, you could play music if you wanted to, but there was something about it, and it's not small, so it's not like you would be claustrophobic.
Right.
Excuse me, because I actually went and took a tour of his place. You could stand up in this egg. It was shaped like an egg.
Yeah.
You could stand up. But there was something about it that I was unsettled.
It's really, giving me like the Matrix vibes in that scene where they're all like in their little pods.
Exactly.
And they're just floating in there. I could see it's helpful for some people to give them a sense of, I know several people that have done it that absolutely love it. So, I think it speaks to some people. It doesn't, like, I'm too in my head.
But talk about connecting with elemental water.
Well, yeah.
There you go. And earth because of the salt.
Right.
I don't know. I think once I got past that Matrix vibe, I think that's why I was maybe freaked out a little bit, because
where do I plug in?
That image did come to my mind. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not saying don't try it.
It may work for some people, may dig it.
But for me, I had an uneasy feeling about it. And maybe because it was an enclosed space, even though it wasn't a claustrophobic.
I think it just proves how powerful it is.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we have like an apprehension to it. It's because we're like, whoa, that's like, it's straight to the source. It takes you out of your body.
It does.
I mean, that's the point. It's to disembody have a disembodied experience, which you can attain in several ways. This is just one way, and it does seem very confronting.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm going to be alone with my own thoughts.
And as you said, we're inundated with stuff all day long, and all of a sudden you're taking all of that chaos away.
Yeah.
And you are with yourself.
I do think it would be really good to add to a meditation practice, because it would, in a sense, kind of clear the air, give you an open canvas, so to speak, where you're not.
I think it's like the next level.
But then again, I think I would just be confronted with all my inner thoughts over and over. It would be exhausting.
Yeah.
But I think you probably have to do a couple sessions.
Like an hour.
Yeah, I bet you would have to do at least 3 sessions to finally get in there and be like, okay, I got all those thoughts out of my head. I confronted all those thoughts.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something deeper. There's probably like layers of consciousness.
Oh, I'm sure.
That you have to go through, and
sure.
it's different probably every time. Now I want to go try it. Now I'm like, okay, let's go.
I wonder if we can do like.
We can hold hands and do it together.
Right? So we can float together. We'd be in there cracking up.
They'd be like, ma'am. Like, Lori, did you pee in it? I didn't pee in it. Okay, time to end the podcast.
Now that we're talking about pee,
we did it. We got there.
I guess we should.
We got weird.
It got weird.
Mission accomplished.
All right. So with that, we are signing off. What a note to sign off on.
Anyways, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Starting to wheeze like an old man too.
Sorry, not sorry.
All right. Until next time, remember Lori and Kate.
Yeah.
And live, love, and magic.
Live, love, magic.